Chapter 1, The Last Train Leaves. The light fades early at the edge of the countryside. Here, in this quiet part of the world, twilight has already begun to settle in. It arrives gently, without rush, without spectacle, not the hurried darkness of the city, but a slow, sprawling kind, the kind that spreads softly across slate rooftops and gravel paths, tinting the air with violet and indigo, like watercolor bleeding across damp paper. We are standing on the platform of a small rural railway station, the kind built with brick and timber, with gables trimmed in iron scrollwork and a long wooden bench that no one has sat on in hours. The station clock, framed in brass, shows 5:45 in the evening. Its ticking is faint, but constant, a small, steady heartbeat within the station's quiet frame. A few minutes ago, the last train of the day arrived, stayed for just 6 minutes, and then departed again, as it always does. Passengers disembarked in heavy coats, their footsteps muffled by fallen leaves. A letter was handed to the station master. 2 parcels were loaded onto a cart, and then, with a polite ring of the bell and a hiss of steam, the engine pulled away, carrying with it the last traces of urgency and noise. Now, it is gone, its whistle still echoes faintly beyond the hills, and the stillness that follows is both expected and complete. The porter stands at the edge of the platform, watching until the final red lantern at the back of the train vanishes from sight. His name is Mr. Bell. He has worked here since he was 17. Now, 30 years later, he wears the same style of wool coat and cap, though both are more worn. His shoes are polished every Sunday night and his collar is always clean. He stands in the fading light, his hands clasped behind his back. It is not necessary for him to watch the train go. It is simply a ritual. One of many. He waits a little longer than required. There is no need to rush what comes next. The next hour, the closing hour, is his favorite. When the train has fully disappeared, he turns, the heels of his shoes click softly against the worn wooden boards. He pauses again by the station doors, listens. Only the wind now, and the last of the steam, curling low between the rails, dissolving like breath on cold glass. To someone passing through, this station may seem unremarkable, but it holds a rhythm of its own. A deep, unspoken order, shaped by time and quiet repetition. Each evening, this stillness unfolds, not because it is planned, but because it has always done so. The gas lamps along the platform flicker to life, ignited by the turn of brass keys. Their light is warm and golden, casting long, swaying shadows that dance gently with the wind. A lone moth flutters upward, drawn toward the light, then retreats again. In the distance, a dog barks once. A bird, perhaps a thrush, answers with a tired note. And then, silence returns. Inside the stationmaster's office, a ledger lies open. The last entry has just been completed, 5:41 p.m., local outbound train. 7 passengers disembarked. 1 crate transferred. Weather, mild. No incidents. A small blotting paper sits across the line, drying the ink. The stationmaster, Mr. Lowell, removes his spectacles, places them inside a wooden case lined with red velvet, and exhales slowly. He is a man of few words and fewer surprises. He knows the exact number of bricks used in this station, the weight of the platform lamp bases, and the number of hinges on the tool shed door. This is his world, not a world of chaos or invention, but of order, timing, and quiet caretaking. Mr. Bell begins the first task of closing. He starts at the far end of the platform, near the post where passengers sometimes lean, and moves slowly inward. The bristles of the broom rasp softly across the wood. There are a few fallen leaves, a discarded paper sweet wrapper, a single button, possibly from a child's coat. He bends to collect it, examines it briefly, then places it into a small tin box kept for lost things. The sweeping is done slowly, but not lazily. It is a kind of quiet performance, a rehearsal repeated thousands of times. Each movement is known, each corner is visited. As he sweeps, his mind wanders. Tomorrow's early freight delivery. Whether the hens in his garden have begun laying again. The sound of the rain last night on his cottage roof. He pauses by one of the benches. It's an old piece, made of cast iron and oak, worn smooth from years of use. Someone has left behind a handkerchief, white, monogrammed with the letter D. He folds it gently, careful not to smudge whatever scent might linger, and places it beside the stationmaster's desk, just under the parcel scale. Little things, he believes, should always be handled with care. The air is cooler now that a mist begins to settle along the tracks, clinging gently to the rails and to the metal posts. The fog has no rush that it moves slowly, the way old music fills a quiet room. The soundscape is now very still, only the faint hiss of cooling metal, the creak of wooden siding as it adjusts to the falling temperature, and the occasional click of the station clock's hand mark the passing of time. And through all this, the porter continues his work, sweeping, straightening, pausing. Not because anyone will check, not because anyone will notice, but because it is the rhythm of this place. And to him, that rhythm is enough. The last train is long gone, the passengers are home, the parcels are delivered, the timetable is closed. But for the station, and for the men who remain, the day has not quite ended. For them, this hour of stillness is where the work becomes ritual and the station becomes a sanctuary. Let us stay a while longer and watch and listen as this little world continues to close itself, piece by piece, with great and quiet care. Chapter 2, Sweeping the Platform. The broom is not new, its bristles, made of stiff straw, are tied together with coarse twine, the handle is worn smooth where the hands of porters, past and present, have gripped it, swept with it, rested their weight upon it during pauses between carriages and freight. This broom has seen storms and sunshine, late departures, and empty afternoons. It has swept spilled coal dust, broken luggage tags, a trail of muddy footprints from a bride in a hurry, and the petals of lilacs dropped by a boy saying goodbye to his sister. But tonight, it sweeps only quiet things. Mr. Bell begins at the far end, as he always does, near the red iron post where the station name is painted, faded now, the white lettering flaking just slightly at the corners of each serif. The broom moves with a soft, steady rhythm, esrivich, esrivich, esrivich. The sound is barely enough to disturb the quiet, but it does mark the moment, the way a page turning marks time in a story that no longer needs to be read aloud. Each sweep is like a breath, inhale, draw the broom back, exhale, push the dust and leaf toward the edge. Inhale, pause to shift weight from one foot to the other, exhale, continue forward. There is a mitten beneath one of the benches, woolen, gray, the thumb is torn slightly at the seam, a tiny thread looped loose like a question. Mr. Bell kneels slowly. He does not hurry, there is no train to meet, no telegram to deliver. He examines the mitten, turns it gently in his gloved hand, then he stands, brushing off his knees. He walks it to the wooden, lost property, drawer beside the ticket window. Inside lie 4 buttons, a man's pocketknife, a handkerchief with a stitched forget-me-not, and a pressed flower between 2 envelopes, its petals the color of worn parchment. He places the mitten carefully on top, closes the drawer with a quiet click, and returns to his sweeping. The broom gathers everything, but it does so gently, even the smallest piece of thread is ushered forward, not pushed. It is a kind of tending. A way of keeping the memory of travelers, without needing to know their names. He finds a copper coin near the foot of the postbox, its edges are smooth from years in pockets. He sets it in his palm, turns it over once, then drops it into a small glass jar marked, penny fines. There are dozens inside already, each one swept up over the years, none have been spent, none ever will. It is not money that fills the jar, but the small comfort of knowing that even the forgotten has a place. A soft mist begins to fall, not quite rain, not yet, more like a sigh from the sky, settling on the rails and the trees beyond the orchard. The broom continues, unbothered. Mr. Bell adjusts his collar, tightens his scarf slightly, and pauses beneath the awning to watch the light from the lanterns ripple faintly in the puddles that have begun to form. Rainwater trickles gently into the drain beside the telegraph pole. It sounds like a lullaby, or like ink spreading across paper. Sometimes, the station feels like a church, a quiet place of pause, not for worship, but for transition. Between one town and the next, between a letter sent and one received, between one version of a person and who they will become when they arrive. Mr. Bell knows the names of some regular travelers, the woman with the purple parasol who always hums to herself, the young boy who counts the wheels on the carts, the man with the straw hat who never speaks, but always nods. He sees them go. He sweeps away the breadcrumbs of their passage, and he waits for them to return. These are hands that rarely hurry, they do not tremble, they are not clumsy. Each gesture, from sweeping to unlocking a gate to folding a timetable, is precise and humble. There is grace in quiet labor, the kind that leaves no applause, only clean corners and peace. Sometimes, a leaf catches the light just so, and for a moment it becomes a golden thing, worth pausing for. Mr. Bell does that. He watches it spin, that he picks it up and places it in the bin, then continues. By the time he reaches the station doors again, the platform is clean, the wooden boards gleam softly in the lamplight, damp but even. He leans the broom back against its place beside the door, removes his gloves, and breathes in. The night has truly begun. The passengers are gone, the dust is settled, the platform, for now, is perfect. Chapter 3. The Waiting Room. The waiting room sits at the heart of the station, not at the center in shape, but in spirit. It is the place where time slows most clearly, where travelers pause, between the places they've left and the places they are bound for. Tonight, it is quiet, not just empty, but still. As if the walls themselves are holding their breath. The floor is made of dark planks, elm, stained with time and softened by wear. A patch near the doorway creaks faintly underfoot, though no one is walking across it now. Benches line the walls, polished smooth not by cleaning, but by the years of hands sliding across their edges, coats and skirts brushing over them, umbrellas leaning against their legs. On one of them, a cushion is ever so slightly askew. The porter had meant to straighten it earlier, but the rain had started, and his routine pulled him away. The cushion is pale blue, the fabric faded unevenly by sun through the south-facing window, its corners are patched in small squares of old floral muslin. It does not match the rest of the room. It does not need to. The walls hold signs, a timetable framed in wood, a map of the Midlands rail network, a flyer advertising a spring picnic that occurred 3 summers ago. There's a bulletin for lost gloves, a notice of tariff changes, and a small, handwritten card, "Mind the steps. Rain makes them slick." It has been there since 1888. Written by a former stationmaster with very neat penmanship. No one has replaced it, the ink is faded, but the advice remains sound. At the back of the room sits the stationmaster's desk, not his office desk, but the small one in the corner of the waiting room, used for passenger notes, emergency tickets, and the occasional letter of apology written in haste by a mistrained traveler. It is here, now, that Mr. Lowell sits. The room holds him gently, not in spotlight, but as if he were part of the furniture itself. A fixture of the evening. He wears a wool waistcoat, sleeves rolled, his collar is unfastened, not in sloppiness, but in rest. In front of him lies the station ledger. A heavy book bound in cracked leather, the pages thick and crisp with a scent of dust, ink, and linseed oil. He writes the final notes of the day in long, looping script. Date, October 6, 1896. Time, 6:05 p.m. Weather, light rain, cooling, last train, departed 5:41 p.m. Notes, package collected for Mr. Elkins. Miss Mary T., left gloves, returned by porter. Station swept. Lamps lit. No incident. The pen he uses is old but steady. It was a gift from his wife long before the station ever had electricity. He dips it into the inkwell once, then again to finish the last letter of the word incident. He places a blotter squarely over the line, leaves it there, waits, removes it, folding the page over with a kind of reverence. He closes the ledger softly, the way one might close a prayer book at the end of a funeral, with both hands, and a long breath. The lamp on the desk burns with a low yellow glow. It is not electric, but gas-fed, with a mantle that flares briefly when adjusted. Outside the window, drops streak the glass, some run smoothly, others catch on a blemish in the pane and change direction halfway down. They make little trails, like forgotten thoughts on their way to silence. Mr. Lowell watches them without thinking, not bored, just still. The station is his to hold and trust until dawn, and so he holds it, gently, like a clock you wind with your thumb or a book you read for the 50th time and still find comfort in. A moth has found its way inside. It flutters once against the glass of the lamp, then again. And then, it rests, beside the brass base, where the warmth does not burn, only soothes. In another world, someone might brush it away. Here, it is welcome. It is part of the evening now. The umbrella stand holds 2 old walking sticks and 1 black parasol. The parasol has not moved in 3 weeks, its owner may have forgotten it, or chosen to forget it. Beside the door, a pair of children's boots sit neatly. They are small, perhaps worn by a boy of 5. They do not appear muddy. Mr. Lowell picks them up gently. He turns them once in his hands, then he places them near the lost and found basket, folding a card to say, "Left October 6th. Size 2. His handwriting is deliberate, slanted. It is a beautiful kind of old. Every object in the room tells time, not with numbers, but with memory. The old clock ticks in the corner, its hands moving slowly, with purpose. It gains 4 seconds every 2 days. Mr. Lowell knows this, and adjusts it by feel. A jar of chalk rests beside the door, used for writing on crates, or the slate board that shows which trains are delayed. A teacup sits on the window sill. It is cracked, and the handle has been repaired with wire. It holds no tea, only a handful of dried lavender. Lavender keeps the room from smelling of coal. It does not last long, but it helps. The waiting room is ready, swept, closed, accounted for. No more trains will arrive tonight. No more passengers will lean their heads against the glass in drowsy anticipation. But the room remains open, open to time, to quiet, to memory. It waits for the morning, not eagerly, but faithfully. And Mr. Lowell, having finished his work, closes the door behind him with a soft click, and leaves the lamp burning low. Some rooms do not demand attention, they offer it. A place to pause. To sit between one chapter and the next. Tonight, this room is silent, but not empty. It holds within it weight of small moments, and the hush of a world that knows how to rest. Let us rest here, for just a while longer. Chapter 4. Lantern Light and Locks. The light outside has changed, not dark, yet no longer day. It is the hour of in-between, when colors soften, when details melt, when the station begins to fold itself away. The rain has slowed, just a fine mist now, barely falling, drifting sideways in the lamplight like smoke that forgot where it was going. Inside, the work continues, but the work has changed. It is no longer about movement or passengers, or timing. Now, it is about care, about preparing for stillness, about closing gently, so that nothing feels sudden. There is a hook by the ticket window. On it hangs a ring of keys. They are thick, iron, old, heavy enough to anchor a ship, each one shaped slightly differently, worn by time, cold to the touch. Mr. Bell lifts them slowly. There is a small ritual in how he holds them, not too tight, not carelessly, just enough. He knows each key by sound. By how it turns in its lock, by the way the bolt clicks, by the resistance of the old hinges. He has never written down which is which. He simply remembers. Some things are not taught, they are learned slowly, by living near them for long enough. His boots are damp from the earlier rain, the platform glistens slightly under the lanterns, a mirror of old wood and blurred light. He walks without urgency, there is no one to rush. No train to meet. No doors waiting to be opened, only ones to close. The broom has been returned, the ledger completed, the waiting room sits in its quiet warmth, sealed like a letter that no longer needs posting. Now, he makes his way toward the freight gate. The freight gate stands slightly ajar. It always does, the way a door in a familiar house might not shut fully, but no one minds. He closes it gently, guides it until it meets the frame with a soft sigh, then he selects the correct key, long-necked, slightly crooked, and turns it clockwise. The lock gives a dull, satisfying clunk. He tests the door, once, then again, just to be sure. He lingers a moment, not because he doubts, but because the pause is part of it, the moment of stillness between act and departure. The signal shed is next. It holds levers, lanterns, papers no one has read in months. He opens the door, peers inside, nothing has changed. It never does. Still, he walks around the small room, fingertips brushing the top of the levers, counting them as he goes. 1.2.3.4 All in place, all still. He folds a worn leather glove left by the signalman 2 days ago, places it on a shelf, locks the shed. The key to the signal shed is shorter than the others, but it's the only one that sometimes sticks. That he waits for the feeling, that slight catch, and then turns, done. Here is the end, not the end of the railway, but the end of the station's breath. A single iron hook juts out from the wall. Above it, an old wooden post leans slightly, and beside it, a shelf that holds the last lantern. Mr. Bell lifts it carefully. The glass is fogged by years of soot and oil, but he knows how to tilt it, how to turn the small wheel inside. The flame catches, soft, blue for a moment, then a steady orange glow. It flares, then steadies, a bloom of warmth in the blue-gray night. He hangs the lantern on the hook, watches it sway. A small pendulum of peace. From here, he can see the curve of the track disappearing into the trees. A place the passengers never go, where only the sound of wheels remains, for seconds, then not at all. A fox crosses in the distance, not hurried, just moving. A thin line of mist curls along the rails, low and white like a sleeping breath. He stands there for a while, hands tucked into his coat, the keyring now still at his side. Looking, not thinking, just being. This is not a job tonight. It is a stewardship. To lock, to light, to linger, is to love a place in silence. There are no medals for this. No applause. No raised voices. Only quiet thanks in the rustle of trees. In the whisper of rain. In the hush of steps that carry no urgency. He turns to go. Point one last glance at the lantern. It will burn all night, guarding a place that does not need guarding, only remembering. Back at the station building, he returns the keyring to its hook. It gives one last clink, the sound of a chapter ending. He hangs his coat near the stove, where it will dry slowly through the night. His scarf follows, his gloves. From the stove, the faint rattle of a warming kettle, its steam begins to whisper. It will be time for tea soon, but not yet. There is a kind of peace that only comes when nothing more is needed. No boxes left to check. No voices left to answer. No clocks left to wind. Only flame and lock and lantern. Let us rest, then, for the night is not empty. It is full of everything that does not need to be said. Chapter 5. Resting Room and Teacup. There is a room at the back of the station, small, warm, and modest. A place not meant for passengers, but for the men who keep the station whole. Its name isn't posted anywhere. Some call it the back room, others, simply, the warm side. Tonight, it is just what it needs to be, room for resting, for putting away the weight of the day, for holding the hush of evening like one might hold a teacup in two gentle hands. Mr. Bell pours the tea with care. He doesn't speak. There is no one to speak to, but even if there were, there would be no rush to fill the silence. The kettle is dented, not broken, just shaped by years of being used. The teacup he chooses is his favorite, not because it is beautiful, but because it is the right weight. The handle fits his hand, the rim is slightly chipped, but never in the way that matters. He does not add sugar tonight, just a bit of milk, enough to cloud the amber liquid into a gentle, porcelain shade. The room holds simple things. A shelf of tea tins. A clock that runs 10 minutes fast. A woolen blanket folded over the arm of the chair. A small stack of railway journals, their corners curled from use. On the wall hangs a drawing of a train, done in pencil, signed Tommy, aged 9. It was never taken down. Some things are better left where they were last loved. Mr. Bell settles into the chair, the cushion resists, then accepts him. The fire glows behind the grate, low, steady, quiet, not dramatic, not flickering, just warmth, settled. There is something sacred in a cup of tea at night. It does not fix anything, but it does not need to. It simply gives the body permission to slow. To stop the turning gears that have been ticking since morning. The first sip is quiet, the second, quieter still. By the third, there is nothing left to chase. Each object in the room is ordinary, but in their stillness, they become extraordinary. A whistle, unused today. A folded scarf, patterned in navy and cream. A book of pressed flowers, open to a violet. And a photograph in a frame, slightly out of focus. A dog, seated beside the tracks, tail curled around its legs. It belonged to the old porter before Mr. Bell. the dog came every day, sat by the gate at dusk, never barked. After the porter passed, the dog stopped coming, but the photograph stayed. No clock chimes in this room, only the fire crackles, a sound as steady as breath. His eyes wander the room, not to examine, but to feel. He knows where everything is, knows the scuff on the floor beneath the coal bin, knows which window pane catches condensation first, knows which drawer sticks. He does not mind these things. They are not imperfections, only signs that the room has been lived in. Outside, the wind shifts. It rattles the eaves gently, shakes a few drops from the roof tiles. But inside, the room holds that it is not fragile, that it is not afraid of night. It was built for it. He places the teacup on the small table beside him, does not finish it, not because it isn't good, but because stopping partway feels like the right kind of incomplete. He closes his eyes for a moment, not to sleep, just to rest. The sound of the stove, the weight of the chair, the softness of lamplight on his eyelids, these are enough. In this room, he does not need to do anything, that he only needs to be. There are no telegrams tonight, no clocks to check, no levers to pull, no train whistles in the dark. Only the long exhale off a station that has finished its breath for the day. Only the quiet presence of a man who has done what needed doing, and who now has nothing left but peace. Some rooms are not grand, not famous, not painted in stories. But they are remembered, by those who rested there. By those who paused. By those who let the world fall silent for just a little while. Let us rest here a little longer, let the fire burn low, let the tea cool. There is nothing more to do. And that is, in its own way, a very fine thing. Chapter 6, The Night Watch. It is the hour when even the mice have stopped rustling, the hour when lamplight becomes memory, and shadow becomes comfort, not a thing to fear, but a presence, thick as wool, soft as breath. Midnight has passed, not with a chime, but with the slow drift of smoke curling from the last lantern and the hush that follows when the fire burns down to red. The station breathes more slowly now. No footsteps, no keys, no pages turning in the ledger, just the patient ticking of the wall clock, marking time not for trains, but for the quiet watcher left behind. Mr. Lowell is not asleep. He does not sleep easily anymore, not in the station, not since the winter storm of '94, when the East Line froze and a lone engine arrived 3 hours late, with 2 passengers forgotten in the manifest. Since then, he wakes every hour or two. Just to check, just in case. He sits near the south window now. A blanket across his knees, his coat still buttoned, not for the cold. The stove is warm enough, but because it feels wrong to remove it before the sun says so. The lantern beside him hisses faintly, its wick trimmed low. It casts just enough glow to see the outlines of the room, the desk, the chairs, the stack of waybills wrapped in twine. He is not reading. He is not writing. He is only watching. Outside, the tracks glimmer faintly, not from light, but from dew. The mist has thickened. It gathers in the hollows between the rails, traces every dip in the wood, fills the air with a soft, breathless fog. A bird passes overhead, its wings catch the moonlight, and then it is gone. There are no more trains tonight. No whistles, no coal smoke curls, no sparks in the dark. But still, Mr. Lowell watches. Not for duty, for rhythm. He has come to love the pattern of silent sea as others love song. He rises, eventually, the lantern in his hand, its handle creaks softly as it swings beside his knee. He moves to the ledger, opens it again, though there is nothing to add, the ink from earlier has already dried into the paper, but he runs a fingertip down the last line. No incident. It is a phrase he always writes with care. As if naming the quiet makes it more true. He closes the book again. A small bow of the head, almost prayer, but not quite, just gratitude. He takes the lantern through the building once more, past the benches, past the broom, through the corridor where the old station dog once used to sleep, and where the scuff marks still remain in the floorboards. Each door gets a glance, not because he expects it to be ajar, but because to check is part of the keeping. The platform is quiet, even the wind has settled. Only the trees stir now, rustling faintly in their sleep. He pauses at the far end of the platform, beneath the name board. The station's letters are barely visible at this hour, only the white outline catches the lantern light. He likes to stop here. It is not part of the round, but he always does. Sometimes he imagines what the name sounds like, a traveler hearing it for the first time, soft vowels. A forgotten syllable. He touches the post, as he always does, before turning back. Not superstition, just rhythm. He returns to the office. The fire is mostly gone now, only a handful of coals remain, deep red, crackling once every few minutes, then falling silent again. He does not add coal. It is not cold enough, and he prefers the dark at this hour. Too much flame, and the room begins to feel like it wants to talk. He prefers it quiet. He returns to his chair, the blanket again, his hands folded. The lantern begins to flutter, its wick dances, then dims, then returns. It is a language he has learned over the years, the flicker and lean of low flame. It says, "This is enough light, you do not need more, just enough to sit.to breathe.to wait." The station at night is a world unto itself. Outside, clocks tick, cities stir, letters are delivered, trains thunder in distant corridors of the map. But here, time has narrowed to a thin thread. No one passes. No whistles call. No pages turn. Only the watcher and the flame. Only memory and fog. He does not sleep, not quite. But his eyes drift closed, the kind of rest that does not need dreaming, the kind of peace that does not need ending. In his mind, the sound of gravel under boots. Of letters dropped into the postbox. Of the girl who left her scarf last Tuesday. Of the boy who waved at every train, even if no one waved back. These sounds are not real tonight, but they are not gone. They rest, too, here, with him. The watcher remains, not to guard, but to keep. The keys are hung, the fire rests, the tea is gone. And still, the station breathes. This is the gift of the night, to pause, to witness, to remember without movement. There will be another morning, another broom, another train. But not now. Now, there is only the night watch. And all is well. Chapter 7, First Light. Morning returns not with a shout, not with fanfare, but with a change in color. Gray turns silver, silver softens into a pale yellow-white, and then, light arrives. It doesn't knock. It simply enters, through the glass, across the floorboards, into the corners that waited all night. Mr. Lowell hasn't moved much. His back rests gently against the chair, his arms folded loosely, his chin slightly tucked, not in exhaustion, but in peace. The lantern has long gone out, only the early light remains, softer than flame, cooler than fire, but no less alive. Outside the window, the fog begins to lift. The station is waking. Everything is still in its place. The cup sits where he left it, the blanket remains gently folded, the ledgers, the oil tin, the gloves, all resting. And yet, the room feels different. The shadows are shifting, the lines on the wall, once soft and rounded, begin to sharpen. Time has not sped up, but the world, slowly, begins to turn again. He wakes without alarm, without urgency, simply because the morning is here. He stretches, shoulders first, then neck, then fingers. The cold of the chair is now noticeable, but not unpleasant. He steps toward the window, draws the curtain open with a quiet breath. And there it is, the world, returned. Outside, the landscape is made of hush. The trees stand black against the misted sky, their branches outlined by no birds yet, but you can feel them near. A low rooftop catches the light, the slates glittering with condensation, and the rails. The rails, they shine in two soft ribbons of copper and silver, disappearing gently into the trees. No train is due, but still, the rails wait. A shape moves near the fence. It is the cat, tail high, eyes half closed, doing its first patrol of the morning. It walks the edge of the platform, pauses near the lamp post, and stretches luxuriously. Somewhere far off, a rooster crows, once, then again. The trees rustle as a breeze begins to stir, and the fog, that veil of the night, starts to slip away. Inside, the new day's rhythm begins. He takes a lamp from the shelf, a clean one, the chimney wiped with care the day before. A single match. A soft hiss, then flame. Amber light blooms across the wall, and with it, the room breathes again. He places the kettle on the stove, this time with purpose. The sound of warming water is slow and reassuring. Soon, it will sing again. He opens the back door. A little stuck from the night's damp, but it yields. Air rushes in, cool, clean, with the scent of wet grass and distant earth. He stands in the doorway, does not step out, just breathes. In, out. This, too, is part of the ritual. The platform is still empty, but now touched with gold. The bench slats shine. The old nameboard, once faded into blackness, now carries letters once more, clear, painted as though the name of this little place matters to the sun. A line of crows crosses overhead, wings flapping slow and deep. A curl of smoke rises beyond the trees, some farmer waking early, coffee boiling on a black iron stove. He pours the day's first tea. This time he sweetens it, not because he needs to, but because morning calls for a different comfort. The sugar cube dissolves with tiny crackles. A small ribbon of milk curls through the amber, steam rises, just like breath. He carries it to the chair, but he doesn't sit yet. He stands by the window, cradling the cup, watching the color of the sky shift from pearl to warm cream. In the far field, a figure moves. One of the railway workers, cutting across the path with a spade over his shoulder. He glances toward the station, lifts a hand, just briefly. It is enough. A moment later, a milk cart rolls by on the upper road. The sound of its wheels, wood on stone, feels almost like the first note of a song. The day has begun. He finishes his tea, leaves just a sip, the way he always does. Then, with a small nod, he begins to ready the station once more. The cushion in the waiting room is straightened, the chalk is returned to its jar, the timetable page is swapped for a fresh one. None of it is rushed, each movement is like a verse in a poem has recited for years. Outside, a blackbird calls, and Mr. Lowell replies, not in words, but in the gentle sound of things falling into place. The station is awake. Not bustling, not loud, but ready. The broom rests near the door. A new bundle of papers waits on the counter, and somewhere down the line, though no one hears it yet, a distant train is stirring. It is not time, not yet, but it will come. And the station, held through the night, watched through the fog, lit by one quiet man's care, will be ready. The night has ended, but nothing has been lost. It has only changed form, from mist to breath, from hush to birdsong, from watching to waking. And you, too, may rise when you are ready. Or remain here a while longer. The world will wait. Because just as darkness can be gentle, so too can morning. Let it greet you slowly, let it come without alarm. First light is here, and all is well.